Well, I have a little tension energy to wear off, so I figured I'll do a little response video. So, to the video.
Hosted here, and I had a little extra time in my hands today, so I thought it was appropriate to make a video about predation. There's people on YouTube who have pretty much failed nature over predation. And I feel that making a video about predation might change the way some people think about predation. First of all, this video, I'm going to reference Gary in this video, although I'm not responding to Gary in any way because I've made 20 videos to Gary and he hasn't responded to any of them.
Yeah, well, look, we had our whatever, you know. I mean, I blocked you and unblocked you 3 times. You can't handle having a reasonable conversation and making reasonable arguments. So I said, fuck you, okay? So I'm not watching your videos. So whatever. Yeah, so whatever.
But yet he claims that no one brings him logical arguments. So this video...
Yeah, when I claim it, and you're probably pretty close to proof of it, because your argument has absolutely nothing to do, your video, with anything I've ever talked about. It's just nonsense.
Is more going out to anyone who's been convinced by Gary that predation is the scourge of nature, that predation is so horrible that nature as a whole should be failed because of its existence.
Look, I've made my argument. Nature's an insane consumption and reproduction. Consumption, reproduction. It has no mission besides consumption and reproduction. And in that process, it creates this big giant thing, this suffering. Whether the suffering happens because one animal chases down another animal and, you know, spills its blood all over the place, or whether the suffering happens because the animal is biologically DNA constructed to self-destruct, to die, and you know, that really isn't the comparison. I've never made some comparison between predators, you know, eliminating, taking down animals, and animals dying of natural causes. I've never had any respect for natural causes. And even your whole predation argument falls apart when you look at something like Komodo dragons. It's not exactly the kind of death you would want, you know, because it only takes a month. So, you know, it's a stupid argument. It's a sick, disgusting system. Life created without boundaries, without control mechanisms, injecting consciousness into such an environment. It is insidious, it is nonsense, it is insane, it is stupid, it is fucktarded, because the DNA molecule has no fucking brain, you fucking idiot!
In my opinion, the way I see reality, predation is, it removes more suffering from the world than it brings in.
Yeah, well, every animal adapts to its environment. So you could say the dodo bird lived without predators, so there was no predation. But obviously the biology compensated for that, and the animals, their birth rate lowered. I think lions would be better off if there wasn't hyenas and leopards killing their young, and cobras and all the other shit that's out there. Their birth rates would drop. Biologically, that the DNA would figure that out, and you'd have all these less victims. Okay, you wouldn't have to go through 10 cubs to get one of them to be a year old. So even your argument is wrong, besides being completely irrelevant to anything I talk about. I talk about suffering. I don't care whose causes it or how it's caused. What I care about is the fact that it's a fucktarded system creating it, okay, that has no mission, no brain, no capacity to reason, no intelligence. It is idiotic to justify and glorify that nonsense.
While, you know, watching lions tear apart gazelle, it doesn't seem, it's not nice to watch. It's not comforting in any way. I would go as far as to say that dying of old age or hunger or disease is more painful and causes more suffering. That
Yeah, but maybe there's other ways. Dying of exposure isn't so bad. That I heard. Drowning's fairly quick, so relatively speaking, might not be too bad just to fall into quicksand or something. I mean, it's just a stupid argument. The fact is, the dying sucks. The fact is that you create the opportunity for the predation by having the goddamn reproduction in the first place. So if you just put a cork in that, you take away the fucking liability.
and predation causes. So therefore, every time an animal dies because of predation, or maybe not every time, because some animals might meet some kind of humane fate.
Yeah, and why would they do that? By sheer luck alone, because the system can't do it on purpose. Isn't that disgraceful? We've put consciousness, we just left it in the hands of a system that just says, well, we'll let 0.01% of the living organisms die quickly and humanely while we just, come on, just fucking freight train the rest of them with horror. Brilliant system.
Than predation, falling off a cliff or something like that. Most animals will suffer less if they die younger because of predation than if they live to an older age and die of disease or one of these other old age, starvation. So therefore,
yeah, I mean, by that theory, we should just guillotine everybody, every human being when they're 20 years old, and we just save them the declining years, because after 20, they just start to decline. They just start to pick up more and more diseases and rot to death. But I don't think you get too many takers.
what I said earlier was predation removes more suffering from the world than it brings in. So, in Gary speak, I guess that would mean that predation is a positive sum game, not a negative sum game.
Yeah, well, you're not even using this terminology right, okay? When I talk about it being a zero-sum game, I'm talking about the satisfaction. There's no such thing. It's a temporary. It's a temporary fix, and it leaves behind dissatisfaction. You satisfy half, you satisfy 1/4, you satisfy 1/8. You never satisfy all the deprivation or need. Therefore, you're left with a negative behind. That's what I mean by zero-sum game, all right? It isn't, you can't sit there and look within the system and start using that terminology. It just doesn't work that way. You can't look at one little component and talk about its sum, all right? Because then you're comparing 2 broken legs to 1 broken leg. I mean, of course, yes, 1 broken leg is better than 2 broken legs, but like I said, in theory, your argument fails, because I still say you're wrong. I'd say it's better off for lions to reduce their reproduction rate naturally than to have predation oblige them to create more cubs than they should have to survive. And so your predation thing creates more living things to be killed quicker and more brutally than otherwise would exist if there was no predators. So I still say your argument fails.
Gary wants to bring us back to a zero-sum game, and his VR solution, not only does he want to take us out of the picture, but he's also said we need to take all the predators out of the picture, and he doesn't like.
Yeah, why not? Let's just take the whole natural, crappy, shitty system out of the picture. It's stupid. It's broken, catastrophically broken, because it's being run by a DNA molecule. Fucktard.
Deer hunting, but he said he wants the state to pay him to go and just kill all the deer at once.
Well, the paying me thing that's a side argument. I'm just saying they should pay somebody to just pay and have the deers eradicated, exterminated properly. They can serve no useful function in a highly populous state like this. There's no place for them. There's no way to contain their population. It's not good for the deer. It's not good for the people. They can't be mixed anymore. And they're causing havoc in the environment. They've destroyed the natural environment. So they're doing nothing useful whatsoever. They're just a blight, a parasite, a menace, period. They'd be better off exterminated.
That's it's funny. But
Yeah, suffering's always funny. I mean, I hope your predation, it'd be nice that you got predated in some manner that you think's funny. So if somebody shot you in the abdomen with an arrow and you spent the next 15 hours dying from it, we'll all should have a good laugh, right? Ha ha ha.